Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com. We're in the pre-show of the podcast. We have two most excellent guests here today. The famous Jeffrey Gitomer, author of a ton of books on sales and sales training. He's an American author, professional speaker, business trainer, and he writes and lectures internationally on sales, customer loyalty, and personal development. Along with him, we have his good friend, Jennifer Gluckow. And Jennifer is a sales trainer, author, and speaker. And they both, of course, have wonderful books coming forth that we're going to talk about and all the good things in sales. Let's get to it. Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Hey, we're coming here with another most excellent podcast, and we certainly appreciate you guys, the audience, tuning in. We've got some wonderful, awesome guests today. We have Jeffrey Gitomer and Jennifer Gluckow, and these two folks are super ultra professionals in the field of sales, business, entrepreneurship, and everything else. So let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Jeffrey and Jennifer.
Thank you very much. I love your music in the background. It's professional.
I paid a lot.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm just so cheap, and besides, I have such great singing vocals.
You do have singing.
You really
I just do my own thing.
You can sing on our
I think
show.
ASCAP, but you should put ASCAP on to make sure no one steals that from you.
You know, an interesting story is I started doing that as a call letter sort of thing, NBC, and doing it twice. And I just did it as a homage to radio, and Howard Stern was doing it at the time to make fun of his old NBC days. So I did it for a couple episodes, and then I stopped doing it. Someone wrote me and they go, "That's actually stupidly funny."
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Well, especially when you're your own choral,
I wonder how many people are singing it with you.
Well, we were on Facebook Live last night, and someone said, "Do you watch the Chris Voss Show?"
Well, here's
literally.
Here's the funny thing. I stopped doing it, and people called me and said, "You got to go back to doing that." So I started doing that. Now, when anybody sees me, you're right. When anybody sees me in person, they go, "The Chris Voss Show," and you're just,
You know we're going to do that when we see you in person.
"Oh God,
Yeah.
well,
We will be in Vegas, I'm sure, in another
Oh,
month
yeah.
or so.
yeah,
we'll
we'll have a few events here."
Yeah. We'll walk down the Fashion Mall or one of those places, and we'll watch for your fans to show up. They'll be running out of the stores from the dressing rooms, half naked. Chris Voss!
They do. They come up, and you're just. It's sometimes it's really weird because you're just like not in the mood, and you're just like, well, you probably have that, Jeffrey. I mean, you guys, you're pretty famous. I mean, you probably have people come up to you, and they scream at you, and you're just like, I don't know who you are, but you're scaring me.
So
Go ahead.
my first month or so of knowing Jeffrey, we were at the Newark airport, and literally some guy comes running over to Jeffrey, and it's Newark, right? And running over, and he's like, "Oh, Jeffrey Gitomer!" And I thought he was going to attack him. Like, I had no idea what was about to go on, and I'm guarding my purse, and he pulled something out of his bag, okay? And it's the little gold book of Yes Attitude, except it's not gold or yellow anymore, it's brown, because he's been carrying it around ever since it's been published, and he rereads it every day, which was so cool to see. But literally, I thought he was like a 300-pound man. I thought he was going to pounce Jeffrey to the floor. He was so excited to see him.
The only downside is I never get hot chicks that do that.
Yeah, that is a
Never
downside.
hot chicks.
Do you remember that?
There's an old interview in Rolling Stone magazine of Woody Allen. It's from, I'm going to say 77 or 78, back when I was subscribing, before I realized it was a little too liberal for me. And someone was interviewing Woody Allen, and he said, "How do you like it when people recognize you when they come up and ask for your autograph?" And Woody Allen said, "Yeah, I really don't like it. I'm sort of And the guy says, "Well, isn't that just the worst thing in the world?" And Woody Allen says, "No, inoperable brain cancer would probably be worse than that." So I'm always humbled and flattered when someone comes up to me and thanks me for whatever, and I give them a business card and I'll sign their book and I thank them very much. And what else can you do?
Yeah.
It's humbling.
I think what always gets to me is that I don't know who they are, and I don't know their name. and I'll just be somewhere and you'll hear the scream, the Chris Voss Show.
Right.
Now I'm kind of stuck with it. I don't even know what to do with.
Yeah, you are stuck with it.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, once you have that meme out there, it stays with you pretty much forever. I can just see the priest at your funeral.
That's probably what they'll do. They'll put the top in, they'll be like, the Chris Voss Show.
No, the last Chris Voss Show.
Let's put a microphone in him and hear the sounds of him decaying.
Yeah.
That probably should be the last podcast, actually, when you think about it, really.
I
This
would have
might
a
need to
podcast
going
like-
down into the thing.
Yeah, you play the your ending.
Oh,
You
my
can hear the
goodness.
worms chewing on me. That might be interesting radio.
Ay.
So, what else is new?
We just went right up the dark in there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your latest work that you guys have been doing together.
Well, we don't actually do anything together except live.
What?
You guys are on camera together.
We
No.
do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but we're writing
Together.
separate books.
You guys loan money to each other? Is that how it works?
Well, she is I'm very heavily indebted to her for a lot of things.
So there is some money involved. I get it. All
There's
right.
totally money involved.
Amongst other things.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we do have a podcast together called Sell or Die.
Sell or die.
Yeah, Sell or Die.
That's the alternative. If you're in sales, you either make a sale or you die.
That
There's
is
no second place prize. There's no silver medal. There's no participation trophy. You're fucking dead, and that's it.
So we
That's
thought
true.
Mm-hmm.
we'd get right to the point with the title of the show.
Sell or die.
or die.
And we go live every day, 5 days a week.
Mhm.
So every day of the work week, which is
We record stuff.
intensive.
Yeah.
It's intense.
And Jennifer is writing her first book called
Mhm.
Sales in a New York Minute because she's from New York. And even though I am not from New York, my comeuppance was in New York, and I've spent the majority of my sales and business time in New York City, cooking deals or making sales. And my next book is called The Sales Manifesto.
The Sales Manifesto. Are you going up into like a log cabin in the woods to type that?
I've already written it.
well,
I-
we've both, they're
No.
actually already available on pre-sale at Amazon.
Oh, there you go.
And
Pre-sale.
just
The
to be
Sales
transparent, the Sales Manifesto was written in an Airbnb in Paris.
That's right.
So it's not exactly like I had to go deep into the woods. I still need croissant in the morning,
And macarons in the
And
afternoon.
coffee, and and bread.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
very
as long as
important.
I'm not mailing bombs to people, I think it's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that.
We're more of a Parisian people than the woods.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
people.
So you guys
we-
got the podcast, you got the Sales Manifesto, you got Sales in a New York Minute coming up. That sounds like a really cool read. I remember when the book was really popular, 1 Minute Salesman, I think it was.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm getting old, the brain's going.
no, you're
That
fine.
was really hugely popular.
It was very popular.
Yeah.
Because people want to make sales in a minute. They want, now. I want instant gratification, and that has spilled over into everything.
It's everything. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you want your Amazon Prime. You used to be excited that it could come in 2 days. And now you're like, wait, but I need it in 2 hours.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait 2 days, 48 hours. I want
So
it now.
some drone comes by and drops your TV on your head.
I'm upset with Prime now because they don't have any of the products that I want to buy. And when I want it now, I can't get any of the products I have. And I'm
Maybe
like,
it's a problem with what you're trying to buy.
That could be. But have you seen the Amazon warehouse in your neighborhood?
I don't know if we have an Amazon warehouse. We have those lockers everywhere.
It's unbelievable. They have literally taken over UPS, they have taken over FedEx, and they've taken over warehousing to a point where they now control their entire destiny from birth to death.
Yeah, we no longer get them from FedEx. We have an
Did you see the new
Amazon delivery.
announcements today where they announced a bunch of plain things that are boring and everyone has, but it has Alexa in them, so I guess it makes it special.
Really?
I missed it. I
Yeah,
didn't
They
see that.
announced
enough.
like microwaves, just like normal stuff, and it's got Alexa built into it. You can't talk to it, but you can push a button and it triggers your Alexa, because otherwise, I guess we'll get a little hectic around the house with all these multiple devices screaming Alexa at you every time you said, "Hey Alexa." You can push a button on the microwave, and it activates Alexa, and then you tell her to make popcorn and do the settings in the microwave.
Well, that seems like
that's
the
overkill, I
future
think.
/ now kind of thing, right? Like your whole home is going to be controlled by Alexa.
Does Alexa like jump out of the machine, get the popcorn out of the cabinet, put it in the microwave, and shut
Not
the
yet.
door? I mean, how automated does it have to be?
I'm just waiting for the AI. I was talking to my friend Robert Scobler today, and I'm like, so am I going to be afraid to walk in my kitchen because there's going to be
Yeah.
watched
Yeah.
in my kitchen?
Like, no. Alexa comes on and starts to chide you about how many calories are in that piece of pie.
Chris, are you going for the fridge again?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on, buddy.
Yeah, you bastard.
Not the pie. Not the pie. The pie plate is sensing that you're lifting the pie.
Exactly.
You have exceeded your amount of calories for today's
Oh,
recommended.
come on. But how awesome would that be?
But when you're in Vegas, you have to eat. Food is like the prime, other than gambling and shows at the casino, food is the next thing. It's one of the big three in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have some of the greatest restaurants here. Most of the people from California and New York that were great chefs, they came here because people pay just stupid amounts of money for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the real stupid amounts of money. But I'm a fan of craft steaks at MGM.
There you
go. I don't know. I'm just a sucker for those kind of places.
So I grew up being saved by people like you, because when I grew up, I was kind of an introvert. It's hard to imagine now, but I was an introvert, and I really wasn't a salesperson at all. And I remember falling into a job where we were leasing cars and doing this get it from a dealer, lease them sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We found out the owner was floating money, and they went out of business. So I knew about cars. And so my dad just goes, why don't you go sell cars for a while? So I went to sell cars, and I really sucked because I couldn't sell. I couldn't close. I couldn't do it. I was like, hey, I'm good at shaking hands, and this is a vehicle here. And so I remember one of my sales managers came to me, and he goes, Chris, we're probably going to have to let you go. He goes, and I know you're a kid, and I know you're just trying to fucking make it anywhere. And he goes, I'm going to give you $5 to go get Zig Ziglar's book. I think it was How to Close Sales or Closing Sales or How to Sell. Big thick one about red and white cover. And he goes, I'm going to give you $5 because I know you're broke. You're living on ramen. He goes, but if you go buy this book tonight and you sit down and just try and read this book, we might be able to save your job, but otherwise you're probably gone. And I know you really need this $5 to buy something better than ramen, but go buy the book. So I bought the book. I sat down with Zig Ziglar's book, and saved my life and changed my life. And maybe an entrepreneur since 18, and totally changed my life. The aspects and being able to master sales and being able to sell people. You learn stuff about yourself, and you become more self-actualized, I believe, than a few other things do for you.
I totally agree with that. Everyone reads a book that literally when you close the book, you've changed forever.
Yeah. My early book when I was in my teens was Playboy, but we won't get into that book.
Yeah, that's a different kind of book.
But no, that saved my life. And then I started reading lots of other books. Napoleon Hill, of course. I think we're going to talk about W. Clement Stone.
Mm-hmm.
I had the really old stuff from my dad, who had all these books. Not Napoleon Hill. I'm trying to remember the old radio guy who used to do the radio shows.
Earl Nightingale.
Yeah.
Earl Nightingale. Earl Nightingale was big on him. And then, I can't place who the other. I had the records of them still.
Really?
So yeah, I just learned sales. I started reading books. I think a long time ago, I either bought or someone gave me your book, the red book on sales. And they're like, you got to read this book. I'm like, okay. And it makes a huge difference in life. It's too bad we don't teach sales in elementary school.
I concur. It's too bad we don't teach attitude or goal setting in elementary school.
Life skills. Because God knows I've never used algebra.
Well, actually you have, but I don't want to get into it too deeply. Algebra is how to solve problems logically, and most people solve them emotionally. And so you might use the logic from that to solve the problem, but the math teacher never says that. He said these are the formulas and memorize these. And
I went to public school, so I missed the whole logic thing.
Yeah.
Betsy
I went to public schools. Everyone went to public school.
I didn't.
When I was growing up, I went to public school. Everyone went to public school.
I like
did.
to try public school. So let's talk about your. Do you want to talk about the Napoleon Hill thing you got going on?
Let's talk about that first. This is Napoleon Hill's Truthful Living book, and the reason that it's called Truthful Living is that these are the first writings of Napoleon Hill. They were found several years ago. They were printed. They were written in 1917. Think and Grow Rich was published in 1937. So these are 20 years before Think and Grow Rich. These are the foundational and original thoughts of Napoleon Hill. The course was actually called Truthful Advertising. But he taught people how to sell advertising. But at the end of each lesson, he had an after the lesson visit. He talked about all the things you could possibly do with your life, because he knew that personal development was a key to making a sale. And so when the Napoleon Hill Foundation gave me these to edit and annotate, I simply stripped out the sales part of the course of advertising and left in 23 incredible life-changing lessons about attitude, personal development, and all the things that would make you more successful and make you more money. And it turns out that this is the foundational thinking of Napoleon Hill that led to Think and Grow Rich.
Ah.
And it's an amazing book. It's being published.
And that's out on Amazon right now?
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon right now. It's actually being published by Amazon Publishing, the publishing arm of Amazon, not the place where you can upload your own book. But this is like the heavy-duty Amazon Publishing that's really challenging all the other publishers in the world. And they now have this book from its birth all the way through to the retail sale.
Wow.
Think about the control of that, because if you're HarperCollins or you're Simon & Schuster, you sell the book to Amazon and then they resell it. Amazon owns it from birth. So they have a lot more control. They have a lot more profit built into it. It's, they're basically taking over.
But you talk about a book that can change lives. I mean, that's it right there. I read that book 10 times in the past year because I was part of the editing process. And every single time I read it, I picked up something new. And I think I have a pretty good reading comprehension. But literally every time I'm like, oh my God. And I'm texting Jeffrey quotes from the book that are, to me, transformational, life-changing quotes. You gotta read this one. And he's like, I know. I'm like, no, this one.
Look at that book. Is it on audiobooks?
Pardon?
Yeah, Jeffrey recorded the audio.
I just finished recording it. It took a long time.
I'm gonna look forward to that because I love audiobooks and Amazon. But yeah, I was talking with all my friends who wrote books have been telling me, when you write a book now, you got to go through Amazon and they control it front to back and blah blah blah. And it's a hell of a monopoly they got going on there. But hey, it sells books.
All the publishers of the world were vulnerable. And Amazon saw the vulnerability and just stepped in.
There you go.
And, it's part of the, you can say, well, they didn't do this and they bullied this. That's bullshit. They saw greedy people and they said, oh, we could do this and it would be better for the consumer. And they did.
I mean, even an Amazon bookstore, I don't know if you have one in Vegas, but we have one in New York City. And every book is facing outward. They're not like on the shelf anymore, like this, right? They're all face out so you can actually see the cover because people do choose a book by its cover. And the edit is limited based on what they know is going to sell based on their Amazon algorithm.
And you buy it for what? You buy it for?
You buy it for Prime, whatever the Prime price.
But you take it with you. They won't ship it.
Right.
I would hope so. Because they're saving the shipping costs there.
Yeah,
that's a brilliant idea. I remember walking through bookstores back in the old days, and record shops too. Those of you who are millennials and Gen Xers can Google what that means. Record. That are ask your old man.
Vinyl records are making a comeback.
Yeah, records do really well. It's pretty amazing. I guess the sales of them never died.
That's true.
It's kind of like my back or my hair.
Yeah.
It's still there. It never
Hair's
died.
coming back, but mine is not.
So you wrote this great book, and Napoleon Hill. That's really awesome. The foundation, or I guess the family of Napoleon gave it to you.
Yeah, the foundation, the Napoleon Hill Foundation, which controls all of his intellectual property.
So this is like a prelude to Think and Grow Rich, then.
Exactly. It is the opening to the opus.
But Jeffrey did something that's really cool. He made an introduction for each chapter that explains what you're going to read about. And then he made an ending to each chapter where he gave a Gitomer implementation kind of action guide. So like, here's what you just read about. Now here's how you take action in today's world.
A lot of people need that when they read books.
Exactly. Like, here's what to do. This is like the sort of step-by-step strategy to put it into your life. And I made it simple so people could do it.
Well, I was thinking about your experience, about how Zig Ziglar's book changed your life, but it wasn't just from reading it. It was from taking action. And that's the thing that so many people miss out on right now is they're reading books because they think it's like cool again to read books. But if you're reading books and not doing anything about it, or you're listening to our show or your show and not taking any action when you hear these great ideas and strategies, you're going to be the same.
If I was selling cars and somebody walked in, I would say, what car were you thinking about buying? And they would tell me, because they've already done all the research. They already know exactly what they want. And I would say, well, okay, here's a key for that car. Spin it around the block a few times. And if you like it, I'll make you the best price on the planet. And I'll have the paperwork all ready. Press hard, 3 copies. I mean, why do I have to go into a big spiel about if the guy already knows what he wants?
That's true. I want to test
He came on a mission.
They're pre-sold, I mean, nowadays, the great thing about selling people is they can do so much research about what they want online.
Oh, yeah.
That it's just about closing them.
Everyone does that research now. And they look at the ratings and they look at the pricings, and there's, you know exactly what it costs to deal. You walk in with your little piece of paper, and the car salesperson is almost irrelevant.
Yeah.
Not quite. He will be irrelevant when you can hit the buy now button.
Well, you're seeing a lot of these. I'm seeing a lot of the car commercials of these car sales companies. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yes, you can.
But they supposedly have that where you can deliver the car.
And buy now with Carvana.
Yeah, the Carvana. That's it. Yeah.
And my daughter just bought a Carvana car.
Yeah, she did.
She figured out what it was. There's a Carvana tower here in Charlotte. They somehow there's like a secret formula that they give you to get the key for the car. They deliver it to your house if you want it.
Wow.
And they guarantee it for like 3 months or something, or some ridiculous amount of time, and you can give it back if you don't want it.
That's crazy, man. Yeah. That's crazy. I mean, that totally disrupts the automotive buying process.
Oh my God.
Totally disrupts.
There's no sleazeball that says, don't worry, it's guaranteed. We fix them ourselves. It's going through the 100-point. No, they've figured out that the population is nervous about buying a used car, which they don't call them used anymore. They call them pre-owned cars.
Sounds so much nicer.
Yeah, pre-owned like no shit.
That's my pickup line when I pick up women at the bar. I go, hey, you want a pre-owned husband? Married 5 times.
Yeah. Only 5?
Oh man.
So tell me no anyway. It doesn't matter. So you got the books coming out, and the Napoleon Hill. I mean, what's for someone who's not into sales? Because I remember being on the other side of not understanding sales, what it was about. And I'm sure that at your seminars and your speaking that you do, you meet people that they have that trepidation of, well, if I sell or become a salesman, am I becoming some sort of different person? Do you still experience that?
Yeah, people are uncomfortable about foisting themselves onto others.
Yeah.
And then more uncomfortable about asking for the sale or the money. And then most uncomfortable, believe it or not, about asking for the referral when it's done. Yeah. So you have to look at it from my perspective is people don't like to be sold, but they love to buy. That's my trademarked phrase.
And my ex-wife.
And if the salesperson gets that, then they create a buying atmosphere rather than a manipulative atmosphere, and then they can win. For example, one of the old world bullshit things about sales is finding the pain.
Mhm.
Well, your pain is probably none of my business.
Yeah,
Or
I
I
need a
don't
couple psychiatrists and several years in therapy for my.
exactly. So what I'd rather do is find the pleasure. So you and I could talk about food in Las Vegas probably for hours
Yeah.
because I've eaten at every restaurant in
Yeah.
every casino.
I mean, seriously, if you want to find my pleasure, you just check the browser history or
Yeah,
give me something different.
exactly. Yeah.
I'll pass on that
You know
one.
what? I'll tell you what. You might want to print that. That's a great idea, by the way. Just look at the
For
website.
sure.
Yeah. So look
Actually,
out.
that's another pickup line I use at bars with women. Want to find my pleasure?
Yeah. So I think that you have to look at this from the perspective of if we can find something in common, then we are more likely to develop an open and more truthful relationship. If the first thing I'm trying to do is find out where you hurt, it may be none of my business. And you may be offended by the fact that I'm actually going for
I'm gonna cry right now.
it. Exactly. I don't want you crying.
I think people have this fear of selling because they've had bad experiences with salespeople,
Yes.
and they don't want to be like them. You know, I don't want to be like that car guy who forced me to get that car that was too much money and whatever. And now
Or it wasn't the
regret it.
color I really wanted, but they had it
Exactly,
in
and I
stock, so they
settled,
pushed it
and-
on me.
Yeah, and they have this fear that if they start selling, well, they're going to be considered pushy. And so I always go back to you're helping, not selling. And if you look at it like that, like, you know, your job is to help people with whatever. If you're selling online learning, then you're helping people get better. If you're selling, you know, beautiful wedding cakes, then you're helping create part of the wedding experience, whatever it is, right? And so if you were that producer that has to sell something, and because let's say you started a business, right? I see this all the time with entrepreneurs. They start a business because they're really good at that one thing. Like, I'm a really good cake baker, or I'm a really good clothing designer. So now I'm going to sell clothes, or whatever it may be. But they're good at their craft. And then they're afraid to sell. Well, if no one's buying your stuff, how are you going to stay in business? And so, so you can produce stuff all day long, but if you don't either hire someone who can sell for you, or get over that fear and just look at it as you're going to provide the best experience, they're going to be better off having purchased from you, you know, find reasons why they need to buy from you, you win.
I've had a lot of people that I've seen that are either startups or salespeople, especially sometimes in startups, and they go, "We're just going to build the best app ever. It's just gonna go crazy because it's the best app ever."
It'll sell itself.
Yeah. No, I had a client who said, I'm going to open up a pop-up shop. What do you think? I said, cool. So how are you going to get people to come to the shop? She's like, well, if you just open it, they're going to show up. I'm like, wait, no, that's not how this works.
Go watch Field of
That's
Dreams and
not
send
how
me a
this
postcard.
works.
Yeah.
Right.
If that was true, there wouldn't be empty malls and
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let me throw something at you from a sales perspective, because you brought up a very good point. When I purchased my first Lexus automobile, I was excited to buy the car, but I hate leather. And all of the cars are leather. And so I said, can I get cloth seats? And the saleswoman said to me, well, you can get it, but it takes a long time to get. And just trying to dissuade me from going, I said, I don't like leather seats. And she goes, well, it might take 4 or 5 months. I said, well, do you think I could get it before the new model comes out? Like, I was just busting her balls.
Yeah.
And I left it at that. 4 days later, I get a phone call from the general manager of the Lexus dealership. And he said, can you come in for about 5 minutes? I go, sure. I understand that you wanted non-leather seats. Let me show you something. And he shows me these lamb's wool seat covers.
Mm.
And they're like an extra $1,000 a piece or something. I can't remember what it is, but they're the most comfortable things on the planet. They never get hot. They never get cold. It always feels like you're just, it feels so good. Why didn't this woman tell me about that?
Chris,
Yeah.
I've been sitting in the car
Yeah, exactly.
for 4 years, 5 years. I've never known why we have these ugly sheep things on the seats
And those are the
until
great
now.
things you teach in your guys' books and podcasts, is teaching salespeople how to think outside of that box. And
Or
think,
how to tell me what you can do, not what you can't do. Because I bought the car 1 minute after you showed me the seat covers.
Can we get new ones?
No.
that's pretty good. It was pretty interesting, though. I think we lost most of my leather audience when you said you hated leather. So,
Well, hey,
Yeah.
it is what, you know what? It is what it is. It is what it is. All the cars have leather seats now.
I didn't understand why we had these ugly seat coverings until now. So I'm so glad
cool.
we've had this conversation.
I don't want the leather ones. I could put them on the passenger side. You can have leather.
I would prefer leather.
this just in: Jeffrey Gitomer loves sales but hates leather.
Right. Exactly. I don't mind wearing leather occasionally, and I'll carry a leather bag. But
So we should see you sporting your leather pants tomorrow.
I don't think you will there. I'm strictly above the waist in the leather
okay.
area.
Just checking.
Yeah, I don't
Just
have the
checking.
stomach for leather.
I only wear leather when I do weekends at Chippendales, but that's
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you're still doing that.
I am. They've told me I'm going to start shaving the thong, though, but I don't know, man. It's not going to work out. I might have to go over to Thunder Down Under next week and start.
It's so funny. When you're in Las Vegas, anything goes.
Oh yeah.
And it's Las Vegas, and then it's everywhere else on the planet. No one dresses like they dress in Las Vegas. No one does shows like they're doing. It is Disneyland for adults on parade.
And you know what's funny is I had to go to court to testify. One of my neighbors had a domestic dispute, and I recorded the husband being a jerk, and so I had to go testify in court a couple weeks ago. And I thought, do I wear long pants and a suit to go to court anymore? And then I was like, screw it, it's Vegas. So I showed up in flip-flops and shorts.
Oh
and
my God.
it even said on the wall, you must dress up. And I'm like, it's Vegas. So the judge didn't say a damn thing to me. And there I am in shorts and flip-flops in a court that I think anywhere in the nation I would have been thrown out.
Oh, sure. But it's a matter of, it's not what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That's bullshit. What happens in Vegas goes up on Facebook. But the challenge that you have there is it's not the same culture as anywhere else in the country.
Yeah.
Everything's open all the time.
Yeah.
No clocks, no windows in the casinos. You don't know whether it's daytime or nighttime.
You don't want to know.
Right.
Exactly.
You don't want to know.
And the Grand Lux Cafe at the Venetian is one of the best breakfast places on the planet.
Yeah.
And you stand on line for a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal. The buffets are unbelievable.
Yeah, it's insane what we do here.
Yeah. And one tries to outdo the other one, and they're like $30, and you can eat till you're crazy. And it's just a different kind of an atmosphere. It's a different kind of place where people dress up in the evenings.
Yeah.
Like they're going to either a strip club or a wedding.
Sometimes strip clubs here?
Yeah, they do. I'm not really sure.
I must
know that they dress up like they're part of it.
Mm.
I mean, it's people go to the edge of their fashion desires. It's like they're in fantasy land. They're in Vegas.
It's definitely an adult playground. People come here, and sometimes they do go a little far. We're like, hey, murder's still not legal here, not yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But other than that, it's a great town. It's a great place. It's a little weird to live here, because like you get over the whole Vegas thing.
Yeah.
Like you live in like a normal suburban neighborhood, and every now and then I go to the end of the street and I go, oh yeah, I live in Vegas. Yeah, I should go down there sometime and party.
Yeah.
But the problem is when you first move here, you're just like party, 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 and then after a month or so, you're just kind of like you look downtown, you're like, I should go down to the strip, and then you're like, it's there next week. I'll go next week, and then your friends call you, I'm coming to Vegas, and you're like, I don't care, it's Vegas.
Right, exactly. But they are excited to come to Vegas for their 3 days.
People love it, and I love the people who come here and spend all their money because we have these great freeways and great schools, and we get great stipend off all that money you guys lose in casinos.
That's true.
I don't. My thing in Vegas is I will bet a storekeeper $200 that I can win that shirt, and I win it every time.
Serious?
But I don't
If
spend
he
any
just
money.
goes by and buys it.
Right.
He just goes and buys the shirt. So what do you? So a lot of people that read your books, would you say? I don't know. Are they mostly people who want to learn sales, or they're salespeople who want to get better at the craft? Is it a 50-50 mix of both?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's 50-50. What happens normally is a sales manager will discover one of my books or another, or had read me before they became a manager, and then they make my book mandatory reading for the whole team. Someone told me yesterday or 2 days ago that, oh yeah, I hire salespeople, and the first thing I do is I give them the little red book.
Yeah.
So they have like a stack of them, in their, and they hire somebody, they hand them, they say, start here, read this book. So I've really developed a very nice reputation over the years of having not just books, but readable, actionable books.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the secrets of making anything happen with respect to making a sale. If it's not actionable, it's not worth anything. If you read it and don't understand it, what the hell are you going to do with it?
Yeah, and some people, I mean, I've been known to tune out when I read books. Like, I don't know what it is. I get a little, you'll be reading a chapter and it kind of goes by you. I like how you have the conclusions or the action items at the end. There were a lot of great books that I read that were that way that were really helpful for me in business. I believe Tom Peters' Thriving on Chaos was one. It has some great action items at the end. And I could use, and he designed it as a handbook so that you could go to it and be like, what do I need to do again?
He was one of the first guys, though, in Search of Excellence.
Yes. Yeah.
He went on rants about how shitty service was and how if you have great service, you stand out not only in your field, but you stand out in the world.
Yeah.
And I got to see Tom Peters in his early days. He swears a lot, by the way.
Good.
I mean,
More than you?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
But I mean, he'll drop an F-bomb like 100 times in a like Gary Vee kind of thing. But I think, yeah, he's the new Tom Peters.
I love Gary Vee. I was really surprised when Tony Robbins started swearing. I didn't think he was going to go there, but yeah, I saw him in a TED speech one time. He started swearing. I'm like, it's like your pastor starting to swear or something.
Exactly.
Just feels wrong.
Yeah.
But I guess he feels that people nowadays, they kind of have so much of their own cloud of whatever. You need that extra punch to get through.
It makes you feel more real.
Yeah.
I think.
I can't imagine our rabbi swearing in a sermon.
No.
They're way too, I don't know, civilized for that.
I can't imagine our rabbi swearing.
Yeah.
Period.
Repent, damn it.
Period.
Yeah, exactly. He might swear if the meat got too close to the milk. If you can't, it's a kosher milk.
Well, sometimes.
Oy vey.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Speaking of Jewish stuff, I have a lot of Jewish friends, and I picked up oy vey as a great way to keep from swearing. And when I get around my religious family, I'm not allowed to use swear words around them, and I kind of respect what they're trying to do. So I always use oy vey instead of the F-bomb.
Yeah.
And I was doing it one time, and my brother, with his family, he pulled me aside and he goes, "Hey man, I know that you're using oy vey instead of swearing, but what does oy vey mean?" He goes, because the kids are starting to say oy vey, and I'm really worried that it might mean like the F word or something. And,
it's literally oh my.
Like,
yeah. And what's funny is I didn't know because I just picked it up off my Jewish friends. I'm like, oh crap, I better Google what oy.
That's funny.
I've dropped.
I was just using it because it wasn't the F word or something.
That's funny. I think I've dropped the vey. I just say oi.
Oi.
Yeah.
Oi.
Oy vey.
But I say it a lot.
Yeah,
I actually like it better than other swear words. There's something kind of, you can kind of make it characteristically different.
And there's an ethnicity to it. There's it has a cultural feel, not simply a complaining feel.
You can say it. Well, you can do different things with the F word, but you can be like oy vey.
Yeah.
Oy vey. Oy. It's just functional.
Yeah.
So
No, buddy. Oy vey you.
Oy vey you.
Oy vey you. You talking to me? Oy vey you.
Exactly.
So if I'm listening to the podcast and I'm either a salesperson who wants to get better, or maybe I'm somebody who's trepidatious about becoming a salesperson, they're concerned about the morals and ethics of it, which always seems interesting to me because a lot of people who don't like sales or say they don't like sales or they don't want to become a salesperson are actually salespeople. When we go out and try and get someone to date us, when we go out and try and get mom to give us ice cream or something,
it's a sale.
We're always selling, and a lot of people just don't get that connection. So what are your books and catalog do you recommend maybe someone like that start with?
Well, here's the deal. One of the reasons that people are reluctant to get into sales is because there's a reputation about salespeople that they just don't like, or they've run into salespeople that they just don't like, whether it's buying a refrigerator at Lowe's or Home Depot, or buying a house and they didn't like it, or buying a car and they didn't like it. And then shit happens like Wells Fargo, where the salespeople have opened up like 2 million fraudulent accounts and they're going, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so there's a reputation that exists that has to be overcome. That's number one. But if you go to a McDonald's, the girl says, do you want fries with that? That's a close.
Yeah.
That's
And she's like, do you want medium or large? And you didn't think about that. You're like,
exactly.
No, make me fatter and give me more heart closure. Give me large.
So I think that if for me personally, if someone is going to want to buy one of my books and sort of get the feel for it, I think they should buy the little gold book of Yes Attitude, because I have to have their attitude right before I can get anything right.
Yeah.
If a person is reluctant or they're negative towards it, then they need to go get a different kind of job. They need to be a greeter at the casino, where you just walk in and go, well, hi, welcome to Harrah's, have a nice day. And that's it.
Yeah. Or they can
welcome to Walmart.
Post office or some other government facility.
Yeah, whatever. It's just a non-confrontational job, an administrative job. But if they want to be in sales, they have to put themselves in a position where they can friendly persuade people to buy.
Yeah. I mean, I've told people all my life that one of the reasons I have such a big mouth, that I'm kind of more of an extrovert, and I grew up an introvert, so I know what the other side of that feels like, is if you want to be a CEO, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to sell everybody, not just customers. You have to sell vendors. You have to sell employees on why they should stay with you and why they should join your company. You have to sell the vendors that you work with. I mean, I used to always sell my vendors on like why I should get a lower rate if I'm going to do this, and why we're going to be such a great company in the future. I have to sell them why they want to do business. You have to sell your board, your investors, everything you do running a business, being a CEO or everything, you've got to sell. And you've got so many different levels and people that you have to sell to, so many different things and ideas.
But the first sale begins with yourself. The belief that you can do it, you should do it, you deserve to do it, all of those things.
Do you find that's maybe the biggest trepidation for most people that getting into sales is that that self-worth lack?
Yeah, you have to sell yourself on the fact that you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have, it says right here, you need self-confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you need a positive attitude, and you need desire, or it's not going to happen. And then if you have those elements, then you have to focus on believing in yourself that you can do it, and concentrate on the fact that it can get done. And from that point, you're going to win.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, you're not going to win.
Yeah.
It's all in how the salesperson looks at it.
Definitely.
But when you're going to that car dealership, the first sale that's made is the salesperson. If I don't buy you, I'm not buying anything.
That's true.
If I don't like you, if I don't believe you, if I don't have confidence in you, if I don't trust you, I'm not buying anything you're offering me. Because you turn to your spouse, you go, honey, let's get out of here.
Yeah. And people make the decision if they like a person or rapport with them, like with first 5 seconds or first few minutes.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
It's faster. It's even faster.
It's a snap judgment for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't like this guy.
Yeah.
Honey, let's get out of here. They wouldn't take yes for an answer.
Yep.
I have the money. I'm ready with the money. Oh, no. I'd rather piss you off, sir. I really, I love pissing people off. So let me try to qualify you.
Yeah. It's funny. I was successful back when I was a stupid kid doing sales because I would take any customer. And this is back when I was first learning. And when the used car guys and the other top tier salespeople would be like, I see the car they're driving. We're gonna go back and get some coffee and leave you, Chris. And I'd be like, I remember one time there was this couple that pulled in and they had this 1970s like old car. This is the 90s, and they had this old car and they cruised from the used car lot to new car lot, and you could just see like salesmen running away to the back to hide. And then somebody's like, oh dude, don't go out there and talk to those people. They probably have no money, blah blah blah. And I said, well, screw it. No one wants to talk to them. I'll go talk to them. I'm not doing anything right now anyway. Standing around a showroom. So I want to talk to them. And that was my thing. I'd go talk to anybody. And I went and met these people, and they weren't, I mean, they were dressed like I do, so they weren't dressed very nice. But they had a shitty old car, and they kind of looked like maybe they lived in a mobile home, but they were really nice people. And so I got talking to them and blah, 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 and helping them and stuff and showing them a car. And I didn't close my mind off to the fact that maybe they don't have the money for this sort of thing. Come to find out, these guys have been saving for like years to buy a new car. They had been saving their money. They had fucking cash in hand to buy a new car. So yeah, the same thing happened to some friends of mine. They own a painting business. They're very successful, but they wanted their painting one closed to buy their first Mercedes with cash. And the salespeople were like, they don't have the money, and they avoided them. And they called the sales manager later that day, and they go like, we couldn't get any of your salespeople to talk to us. We had cash to buy a Mercedes.
Exactly.
And so attitude's everything.
It is. When I was in college, I had a job, and I would save my money to buy clothing because I love clothing. And one time I went to the mall, and I looked a little schlubby, like sweatpants, whatever, because I was just going to the mall. I didn't think much of it. And I went into a fancy department store, and no one was helping me. And I was trying to work with this salesperson, and she just was giving me attitude and being rude and just not. I asked for new sizes, she wouldn't get them. So I asked to speak to her manager. Now, she didn't know I was in school in St. Louis. She was not expecting some New Yorker with balls to walk up to her and like really tell her their peace of mind, right? So I go over to the manager. I'm like, see all this clothing here? She goes, yes. I said, I'm going to buy it, just not here. So I need you to pull it aside at the other store, which, by the way, was 45 minutes away from where we were. And I had to drive 45 minutes away to go get the same exact clothes that I wasn't going to buy from them. I said, and have it waiting for me, please, because I won't be supporting you. And I literally left. They had it aside for me when I got there. And they're like, who is this chick? And like, they just judged me because I looked crappy.
Right,
like
exactly.
I was wearing sweatpants. And
Let me put it in Vegas terms. I'm in Neiman Marcus at 6:45 on Saturday night at the Fashion Mall.
Mm-hmm.
And they close at 7. And I'm in my t-shirt and shorts. I don't wear flip-flops, I wear sneakers, but same kind of thing.
Don't hold that against you.
And all of the salespeople were over in a corner bullshitting with one another. And I picked out a few things that I wanted. And I walked over to the sales guy. I said, where's the manager? And they said, well, what do you need them for? I said, well, I need, it's always defensive. So I get the manager, it's a woman. And I said, listen, I'm going to buy these clothes on one condition. My sales guy in Charlotte, Charles Wiggins, works for Neiman Marcus. And if he gets the commission for my buy, I will do it. Because these bastards all sat around and talking to each other, and no one was waiting on me.
Weren't they like closing, and they didn't want to help you because they were closing?
Right, because they're closing.
Yeah,
so Charles got the commission.
Wow.
He became literally the hero of Neiman Marcus. Absolutely unbelievable.
Otherwise, that would have been an ugly piece in the book for Neiman Marcus.
A real ugly
God,
piece.
yeah.
But now it's kind of funny because you prejudge somebody by what they look like or what they're doing, or they don't give a shit because the day is over and they've had it. They don't realize that the last sale is standing right in front of them.
Yeah.
And the last sale of the day is the most profitable sale of the day.
Yeah.
Because all of your expenses went to cover the first sales.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, that comes back to recurring customers and mining your own database. Like they used to say in Acres of Diamonds. I know there's sometimes where I'm like, I need to get more sales. Like I'm going on like a South by Southwest trip or CS trip. And it's like, I need to ramp up a bunch of money for this trip. And sometimes I'm like, I got to go find new customers. Then I'm like, wait, I have a whole bank of customers. Why don't I just try and figure out something that I can sell them? And we'll get the money even quicker and better because
exactly.
we know their check's clear.
So one of my mentors, the late great Earl Pertnoy, owned the Slack shops in Miami, a series of shops, and he always stayed open an hour later than everybody else.
Wow.
Because he knew that the last guy in the store, A, had money because they're just wandering around, and B, was always their most profitable sale. So you never prejudge anybody.
Yeah.
I was at a tie store. This is in my customer loyalty book. I was in a tie shop in Dallas, wanting a tie for the next day, and it's like 5 of 9. And I walk in the place and I go, "How late are you open?" He goes, "As long as you're here, sir."
Wow.
Like, damn, way to go, dude.
Yeah,
way to go.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I really feel like Tom Peters needs to do that book again, In Search of Excellence, because it seems like we've really fallen a long ways.
Yeah, it would be a much thinner book.
Give a shit
In Search of Mediocrity, I think would probably be the title.
Mediocrity. Search of Mediocrity with Gen X and millennials.
Yeah, exactly.
So, sir, can I buy something? Can I buy this shirt? Yeah, hang on. Let me finish Snapchatting my text thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah,
I've been in so many businesses where they're so busy doing their thing, and you're just like, can you put down the phone for a second so I can buy the milk and cookies, please?
The world has changed, and we just have to deal with it. We ain't going to change it. We're either going to adapt to it or we're going to die from it. One of those two things.
Yeah, and it's sad more people don't appreciate the value of sales and how important it is, and sales impacts everything. It impacts how you relate to your spouses, your significant others, everything you do in life. I mean, we're born sellers. I mean, watch any kid who's trying to get his mom to buy ice cream at the store. That's a sales job right there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
working. A
a
toy in the toy shop.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you about you, even though I don't know you that well, but you were willing to take corporal punishment to get that toy.
Oh yeah. You're just like I think I did get a couple beatings from behavior and
where you spin around in the grocery store. It looked like you're throwing a fit to get a candy bar.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean that was corporal punishment. Sometimes there were some times where when I get home, you're getting a severe beating, and we might need more of that these days. I don't know. I turned out fine.
No, your kids sue you if you beat them.
So, what other things do you want people to check out? People check out your websites, of course, and ping them.
Yeah, check out our websites. Mine is salesinanewyorkminute.com. Jeffrey's is Gitomer.com.
And you can stick it in the show notes. We'll send you some stuff to stick in the show notes. But we're very grateful for this time with you. You have a great reputation. I love your laissez-faire attitude. I think it's wonderful and certainly endearing, because it's not, you're not uptight about an interview. There's nothing formal about it.
It's fun. And
it's like, that's what we want. We want people to have fun. We want to learn about people. I sometimes get these people on when they come, and here's another sales example, and they come and they go, I have this book. Here's my book. And you're like, what's the book about? And they're just like, it's about stuff.
It's about referrals.
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just like, well, tell me about what's in there. Well, some stuff I wrote, and then there's my PR agent said I should say this, and you're just like, come on,
terrible.
Man, we got to have you fog the mirror a little for the podcast. We got to entertain a little bit.
Well,
so I always tell people, I'm like, bring great stories, bring great life. Because I think that's what people want from these. Like when people listen to you or read your books, listen to your podcasts, they're trying to learn stuff about how to make their lives better. So they're listening for those lessons, those stories. And to me, that makes everything much more richer in life.
I also think that it makes you relatable. If you can tell a good story, people can relate to the story. That reminds me of that thing.
Yeah, well, think about it. Like Facebook Live, Instagram stories, Snapchat stories, like these are the things that I've taken off because people want to relate to you. They want to follow you. Like, I didn't post something the other day on Instagram stories, and I've been posting consistently, and people are like DMing me, "Are you okay? You didn't post anything today. What did you have for breakfast?" I'm like, "Oh my God, leave me alone."
I just wanted to do this podcast so I could find out that Jeffrey hates leather and loves
Exactly. What do you hate?
Do those two go together at all? Doesn't Neiman Marcus sell leather?
Chris, you need to come on our show, Sell or Die.
I'll come on your show anytime.
We're as laissez-faire as you are.
We are. We have a lot of fun.
We're close
we
too. I won't show up naked. Normally when I do podcasts, I show up naked.
Well,
okay, yeah.
Here's the deal. Good. This is on video, and Chris has his shirt there, but he's not wearing any pants.
Well, we don't know.
And we know.
Just don't stand up.
That's the secret. That's the secret sauce of this show. Everyone watches it going, is he wearing pants or not? There's actually a betting line on it down at the Vegas sports bars.
The very first teleseminar that I did, I charged $99 a seat. I had 500 people on it. I made $50,000 for that podcast. It was a teleseminar at the time. And I did it in my underwear. And I had one of my employees came to take pictures to prove that I was doing the teleseminar in my underwear. They were Ralph Lauren, it wasn't like it was like
Why
crappy.
do I feel like that would get like bad press today? Employee comes to take pictures of Jeffrey.
So I'm trying to picture this. I'm not sure why. Were they tidy whities or were they boxers?
No, they were black Ralph Lauren.
We're getting that.
So if I Google this, am I going to be able to see outlines of Jeffrey Gitomer?
Pre-internet, it's historic ages.
We're going to see some package.
We're getting the cut it sign from our producer.
You may want to check. There might be more money for you in that, Jeffrey. There might be
in Vegas for sure.
Yeah, in Vegas. I mean, we have plenty of that. But no, whether I'm wearing pants or not is a closely guarded secret. It's up there with the Coca-Cola formula and KFC
recipe. Got it.
There's a vault somewhere that has the answer.
They moved the headquarters of WD-40, and they had armed guards taking their secret formula in a truck.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's actually the same thing they do with the scent of me after I haven't showered for a day or two.
Yeah. They put you in the truck.
They do. They put me in the truck and take me to the showers. I could do a joke there, but I won't. So anyway,
upstairs waiting.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to go see Gabrielle Gitomer, the little 9-year-old spark.
There you go.
And we are very appreciative of our time with you. It's a hell of a fun thing. We come to Vegas all the time, so we'll
definitely see me. Let's do dinner or lunch, and we'll hang out and stuff, and go throw money at wherever.
We'll have our pants on.
Yeah.
And then we'll be ripper and ready to go.
It's Vegas. Pants on, pants off. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas unless you bring chlamydia home. So there's that.
Exactly. Oh my God.
All right. On that note.
Later.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
We should do it. Like
Chris Voss.
See you guys. Thanks for being on the show.
Later.